Hi, in today's video we will gonna learn about how to configure a external properties file in a Spring Boot application. Okay, and this Spring Boot application will actually generate a var and that will get deployed into external Tomcat server. So that's a high level of this application. So right now we have to first think about why we actually externalize a properties file. So the reason is it actually reduces the dependency of a properties file or configuration file in your Spring Boot application. Okay, so how it actually reduces the dependency and what's the profit we get as a developer. So let's assume a requirement. Okay, let's assume we got a requirement where we need to make some changes into this application.properties file, and application.properties file actually stores some configuration level changes. Okay, some configuration level data. So let's assume we got some requirement like we have to make some changes in DB URL. Okay, some database URL got changed, some credentials got changed, or maybe uh, service URL got changed. Okay, which we are consuming inside of our service to maybe fetch some details. Okay, so these are some sort of like configuration level changes. So right now this is our requirement. Okay, we got a configuration level change, and the first scenario is when we have this application.properties file inside of our application, then what we need to do. So we actually go through three steps. Okay, the first step will be you have to make that changes into this properties file. Okay, second will be you have to create a var file for this project, like you have to create a build of this project, like it will create inside this target folder, and then you have to deploy this var inside this tomcat. Okay, like by placing it inside web apps. So those are the steps you need to actually do when you have this properties file inside of the application. Now let's assume this properties file is not inside of our application, it's in some external location, it's in some other location. Then if you have the same requirement of changing something into the application configuration into this properties file, then you only need to make those changes and you have to restart your tomcat. That's the only thing you have to do. So now you don't need to create this var and all again and again. Okay, not for any configuration related changes, because your properties file is not a part of this var now. Okay, so if you are getting any change related to this properties file, then you don't again need to create a var. You only need to make that change into this external location and restart that tomcat server and you are good to go. So that's the actual benefit of it. So now we will move ahead and we will go to this existing application. We will learn a little bit about it so that we can actually understand that okay, this external properties file is still working. And as I told you, okay, that if you have to make any change into this external properties file, then you only need to restart a tomcat server. So I will also show you that. So right now I have this Spring Boot application. Okay, and I have certain endpoint. The most important endpoint would be this get all employee, means this slash employees endpoint. Okay, when I send a request to this endpoint, uh, I will get this output as well, like all list of employees, and we have some cricketers here. And then if you go to your console, okay, then you will get a log that will created by equals to the value which we have there into our properties file. Okay, so that will be displayed here. Now and this value, okay, this value will be very important to understand some next thing, like whenever we are making some changes, then how it's get reflected and all. So now you have to only focus. Now we have to focus like how we can externalize this properties file. First we got to know why we have to do it. Now we have to understand how we can do it. So I have created a diagram for it to understand it very easily. So the first step you need to do, you have to move your application.properties file from your Spring Boot application to an external location. Okay, inside of your system. So you have to actually delete this application.properties file, or you have to actually move this properties file from your Spring Boot application to any of the external location, to any folder you want. So this is your first step. Second step will be, you have to actually give this path, okay, this external locations path inside the setenv.bat file, and you will get this file inside bin folder of Tomcat. Okay, so when you go to the Tomcat base location, there will be one bin folder, and inside that you have to create a file, and if you already have it, then you have to give this path inside this file, and I will tell you exactly the statement which you have to write inside this file. Okay, so these are actually two steps we need to do. So we will go ahead with the first step. Okay, that will be, we have to move this properties file to an external location. So what I will do now, I will copy this file. Maybe I will go to any of the locations. So right now I'm going inside it, okay, inside my server only. So I will create one folder that will be maybe external config file. Okay, so that's the name I have given. You can give it anything you want, and then you have to paste that properties file here. Okay, and now I will delete this properties file from my application. I will delete it. Okay, so I've deleted. So this was the first step. I have deleted this application.properties file from my project, and I have moved it to another location. And the second step is, I need to mention that path into this file, okay, which is there inside bin folder. So I have to actually go to this Tomcat. Okay, so first I will go to the Tomcat. I will go inside this bin folder, and I will search for this CTNV. So sometimes you won't get it inside this folder, so you have to actually create this file. So right click and then new, and then create a text document for now, and give it that same name. So set env.bat, and remove that extra txt file. Okay, so now we have this bat file, and we have to open it with Notepad or Notepad++, whatever you want. So right click, and then I will go to more properties, and I will edit with Notepad++. Now what I have to write, so set class path equals to, and that whole path, okay, the whole path where we have placed our .properties file, application.properties file. So I will copy it, I will paste it here, and don't give any space in between. Okay, after this equals, don't give any space, otherwise it won't take this exact location. So that's the typo I have seen earlier, so that's why you don't have to repeat it. So just save it, save this thing, and now it's all done. Okay, it's all done. You have to only create a build of this application, run as maven build. It will create a build, it will create a war file for our application. Yes, so it's building the war, we got it. We will go to our target folder of the application. I will grab this war. Okay, and then I will go to the web apps folder of my Tomcat server. I will remove the earlier wars. Okay, because we have created a new war. I will stop my Tomcat as well. I will cancel it out. Now I will place my new war, and I will start my Tomcat. So if you take a look now, if you take a look, we have this path mentioned here as well, like C Apache Tomcat 9 external config file. Okay, so whatever we have given here, that has been mentioned here as class path. So what actually happens, like whenever you mention any path as a class path, then your application will look for configuration file, for maybe properties file or YAML file inside of that location. Okay, inside that location. So that's why we have mentioned this class path, and that is actually inside the catenv.bat file, because this is the file which will get executed prior to running your Tomcat server. So that's why it actually came here. Whatever class path we will give inside that uh, file, it will actually come as our server's class path. Okay, so that is all we have. Our application is also up and running now. What I will do, I will execute those endpoint, like I will execute this, and now we are getting that same responses. Okay, so inside of our properties file we have all of that database related configurations. Okay, if I will go inside this external location, I will open it. So we have this database related configuration. So if my application is giving all of the database related output, then it actually means that it's somehow able to access my properties file. Okay, and I had also said one thing, like if you have to make any changes into the properties file, then you simply need to restart the server. You don't need to create a war again. So I will prove that as well. So right now, this is the properties file which is placed into the external location. So what I will do, first I will execute the existing code. Okay, so when I'm sending this request, you will actually get created by equals to program wind. Okay, so this is the output we are getting. Now what I'm thinking, I will modify this value. So program wind maybe again. Okay, so I'm giving this value here. Now if I will again hit that endpoint without restarting the server, so it won't pick up that new value. Okay, like I have already executed this endpoint. If I will go here, it will again give that same program wind, that older value. But if you want that this new properties will get reflected, then you have to actually restart your server. Means right now what I can do, I can just close this window, so that server got stopped. Now I will again start the server. Okay, so this server is getting started. Now you will get this value, program wind again. Okay, so it's very simple now. Okay, you are not creating a war again, you are only making the change inside this properties file, and you are simply restarting the server. Okay, I haven't gone through this eclipse and again created this build. I haven't done that. So that's the profit we are getting. If I will go through this endpoint again, let me see whether it's started or not. So it is, it got started. If I will send that same request, okay, I got the response. And if I will go to the console, I'm getting the new like modified value. Okay, program in again. So like this externalizing a properties file made this configuration related changes very simple. Okay, now we don't need to create build and all. So that's all for this video. Please subscribe, please like for more videos like this. Okay, thank you for watching the video. Have a great day ahead.